Hello there, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jobsam. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. In this very episode or editorial, we'll be talking about the 7 cardinal sins of Nana Addo Akkufo, which led to the NPP losing miserably, terribly, and in fact horribly at the just ended December 7th elections. And after the elections, the NPP constituted a committee which was led by, or which is being led by, the venerable Professor Mike Aaron Okwe. And this very committee, they want to look at some of the things which led to their defeats. I'm putting it to you that with this point I'm coming to highlight some of these things I'm coming to share on this channel. You might agree with me to some extent, or you can also disagree. Kindly share your thoughts, your opinion, or of course your comments in the comment section below. And these are not things that I'm saying that they are concrete. These are just my points of view. These are my opinions I want to espouse on here. We can deliberate on them, we can judge, of course. So the very first cardinal sin of Akkufo, which led to the NPP losing terribly, I call it the sin of the National Cathedral. Now, the National Cathedral in 2019, we all got to know, was a personal pledge by Nana Addo Akkufo to his God. Subsequently, the National Cathedral became a national pledge. We all came on board to say, okay, and yesterday, let's all support this cathedral project. Lo and behold, a $25 million seed fund was released to help this whole cathedral project. Not knowing that in 2023, when the Minister for Finance, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, came to Parliament, he mentioned that an amount of 80 million Ghana cedis had been withdrawn from the consolidated fund to cushion the construction of the whole National Cathedral project. This led, or this kind of triggered Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa, who carried out his parliamentary oversight duties as a parliamentarian. The lawmaker or legislator for Northern, Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa, subsequently made some damning revelations and allegations, especially against Reverend Kwesi Boateng, who also had a dual identity as Kwabena Edu Jemfi. He subsequently made it known to the public that an amount of $58 million had been withdrawn from the consolidated fund to cushion the building of the National Cathedral. This generated a lot of public affection and then public outcry. People were not happy with how the whole cathedral project is being executed, because we felt at that point in time that wasn't a priority for most Ghanaians. However, the NPP led by Nana Addo Akkufo said that Muya Den Cathedral no yebisi and no any and was Akkufo able to construct the National Cathedral for his God after huge sums of money had been thrown into that very project. Well, we live to see today around where the cathedral is. It's nothing to write home about. It's a very big pit that has been left, and we wonder what will Akkufo will be saying to his God when he goes. So that's the very first sin of Nana Addo
garden like the Garden of Gethsemane, where we are going to have even the Wailing Wall and all that right here on this land, and we are going to bring every fruit and vegetable in the Bible, every single one of them, in our garden, so that people can come and see what they read of and they have been thought of in their Sunday school. Not that when you are done and you want to have a taste of it in a restaurant, there will be a design restaurant.
Well, the second cardinal sin, of course, is the Galamsey menace. In 2017, Captain Mahama died when he was part of a task force to ensure that Galamsey operations in those areas ceased. And we all remember Captain Mahama, who had a very lovely, beautiful wife, Barbara. He left 2 kids. Yes, he left his kids, and then he died fighting against Galamsey. Fast forward, that Galamsey menace wasn't tackled, even after Akkufo had said that he was going to put his presidency on the line to tackle Galamsey. We had some ministers of state, and then we had the party chairman of the NPP, the Ashanti Regional Party chairman, Chairman Bosianko, also known as Chairman Huntumi, who was alleged to be mining even in forest reserves. The president came out to say that no, that wasn't true. Chairman Huntumi wasn't mining in forest reserves. You had people in the government, you had people with close ties to Nana Addo Akkufo who were found to be neck deep in this Galamsey menace. The Professor Boateng report of 2019 highlighted a few of these situations where key government appointees were neck deep in galamsey. So I say that the second cardinal sin of Nana Addo Akufo-Addo was the galamsey menace. Okay, now fast forward to the very third cardinal sin. That was the e-levy together with the betting tax. Yes, the introduction of the e-levy in 2021 or in 2022, yes, because I remember in 2021 there was an impasse in parliament where the minority say they don't agree, the majority too say they don't agree. They just wanted to pass the e-levy. Fast forward in 2022 when the Ukraine-Russian war started, I remember the now minority leader, Honorable Afenyomakin, saying that it was for exigencies like that of students in Ukraine that the e-levy needed to be passed. It didn't make sense. The government wanted to find ways to pass the e-levy. I remember the abolition or the suspension of the road tolls, as some government officials of the NPP then would make you understand the road tolls were abolished, and then they said the e-levy was going to make up for it. Subsequently, it was the introduction of the betting tax. The youth were angry because with no job opportunities, betting became the safe haven for most of the youth who had time to trunk betting shops, and then even on their smart devices they could take their phone anywhere and then start betting. You understand? So the introduction of the betting tax and the e-levy, I call it the third cardinal sin of Nana Addo Akufo-Addo. Now let's talk about the fourth sin so far. So we've espoused the National Cathedral, I've talked about the galamsey menace, and I've talked about the e-levy and of course the betting tax as well. Now let's talk about the corruption perception index. Okay, so if you do a little bit of markets and you realize that branding and perception is everything. Once you are seen not to be able to tackle corruption, it generates some kind of perception out there. So this is exactly what happened to Nana Addo Akufo-Addo in his days as the president of Ghana, and then even President Mohammed's worst performance with regards to corruption was Nana Addo Akufo-Addo's best. Now remember cases of Pius Enam Hajide, who was fingered to have been compromised or have been corrupt in the Australian visa scandal, where people were given tax as journalists, and people who just were not part of the whole team, where just monies were taken from them so that they'll be sent to Australia. After some time, they were back into the country. So that's what happened. And then you remember the famous Cecilia Dapa issue or incidents. Who can forget Cecilia Dapa? Because at a point in time, the Minister for Sanitation had over $1 million under her bed. It doesn't make sense. And subsequently, we got to know that she had been complicit because the maids or the girls were stealing from her for such a long time, and she didn't even realize it until it got too late. You understand? So if Cecilia Dapa had a very large amount of money under her bed, just imagine the kind of monies people in Akufo-Addo's government were perceived to have then. To make matters worse, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo came out and then he wrote a love letter, as we call it, to Cecilia Dapa, saying that he had so much confidence that she won't be found guilty for any wrongdoing and all of that. So the corruption perception also really made things not so good, look not so good for Nana Addo Akufo-Addo. Now, the very first one I talked about was, of course, National Cathedral. We talked about the galamsey, we talked about betting. Now I'm talking about corruption. Now the fifth cardinal sin of Nana Addo Akufo-Addo is Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta. Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta overstayed in office as a finance minister. In 2022, over 90 MPPs came out to say that they didn't want Ken Ofori-Atta in office. Ken must go. You remember the Ken must go protest, which was started by the NDC. Subsequently, the NPP were not in too much agreement with the NDC, but then they came out, 90 MPs from the majority side back then came out to say that they didn't have confidence in Ken Ofori-Atta and that Ken must go. Unfortunately, Ken didn't go after negotiations or after talks with the president. Ken didn't go. He still stayed opposed. Then unfortunately, most of the MPs who championed that cause, lost their seats in parliament and the primaries, and even those who didn't lose in the primaries finally lost when the general elections were held. Remember someone like Mr. Andy Apiakubi, who also came out to say that a businessman had offered them some huge amounts of money to stop the whole Ken Must Go protest and all of that. So the Ken Oforiatta being in office for such a long time also really hurts the government, because as finance minister, you remember the banking sector cleanup, then you can also talk about the bondholders, you remember the haircuts and all of that. And then to make matters worse, in 2019, Ken Oforiatta, after Ghana had finished with the IMF program instituted by President Mahama in 2019, they held a kinky party at the finance ministry and all of that, saying that we're no more going to go to the IMF. Fast forward in 2021, 2022, Ken Oforiatta took us back to the IMF. The double standards, white, quoting Bible verses every day, and Kosibebia. So this has been the fifth cardinal sin of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. The sixth cardinal sin of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, I call it the Napoleonic syndrome. Yes, a lot of people didn't understand why at a point in time Nana Akufo-Addo was ordering chiefs to stand up, and then he was demanding, or he was commanding respect from those chiefs wherever he went. And some unfortunate statements he had said also really didn't go well with a lot of Ghanaian people. The Ghanaian society were not happy with that. But let's talk about the Napoleonic syndrome. The Napoleonic syndrome is a syndrome that short people suffer. So because they feel that they are vertically challenged, they tend to make up for it with a lot of ego, with a lot of command, you understand, because of that insecurity. Yeah, so because of that insecurity, you realize that Nana Akufo-Addo was commanding and ordering chiefs to stand up left, right, center. Yes, but then at a point in time, his own daughter Jan Kroma was videoed on phone even when the national anthem was playing, and then he didn't have issues with that, because with the Napoleonic syndrome, people who are vertically challenged, okay, tend to feel that when people are close to them, they already command and they have the respect of those people. So when they step out there, they have to have respect. They have to gain and demand that respect by hook or crook. And then that also then go well with Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And of course, the chiefs were just angry with Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and the NPP government. So the Napoleonic syndrome also has been the sixth cardinal sin of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Okay, so fast forward, let's talk about the seventh cardinal sin, last but not least. Okay, because they're actually a group of them, but then let me talk about the presidential jet saga and also the unfortunate statements Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo made when he was in the Ashanti region. He was interviewed by a Tech FM presenter, and he was asked, the people of Kwabri are saying that if you do not construct their roads, they are not going to vote for you. Let's listen to Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's reply, and then you get the sense of what I'm trying to say.
Yenimse Kwabri for what they share voting pattern. Omoto abadodo pa de manana. Obviously men country, yes, obviously men country president. So oma kwan no say president anya ma wo mo a na se be yo mo ya pa na 2024 on be to abanetia NPP.
No problem.
You do it.
I'm saying people make those kind of threats. Me, they don't frighten me.
Okay.
It's somebody votes for you, somebody supports you. It's because they want you to do things for them. I understand that. There's no need for people to go to Manya, say. I don't want to answer. Of course, mayor. About
Okay, so that was Adodi's reply right there. And I don't know what you make of it, but then people felt that was some presidential, people felt that the president had been too power drunk. And of course, people also said people also questioned why he was carrying his chair, the presidential chair. You see, that kind of perception really injured the NPP administration. And maybe they seem not to have paid too much attention to some of these things. But then even before the committee begins its work, I humbly submit that these are 7 cardinal sins of the Nana Addo Akkufo government, which led to their terrible, horrible, miserable performance at the just ended December 7th elections. You can talk about the private jet scandal, you can talk about the Sewa Bruni scandal and all of that, but to me, these are my top 7. I don't know about you. In my next video, I'm talking about 7 key achievements of Nana Addo Akkufo as well, because every coin has 2 sides. You understand? You can't only talk about the cons without talking about the pros. Akkufo really did good for this country, and then he served his time as the #1 gentleman on the land. Do not forget to subscribe once again. My name is Gypsum.